welcome to this video where I walk you through my experience at a fiber festival here in California called Lambtown. This is only my second yarn fiber knitting festival that I've ever been to, so I don't have that much to compare it to really at all. I have been to Flock. I went to Flock up in Seattle over the summer, and it's a fiber festival that takes place inside a convention center. And if you want to hear all about my experience at Flock, I did make a video about that. But this was kind of a very different type of fiber festival from Flock, and this was an outdoor, sheep heavy experience, and I loved every second of it. Let's go to Lambtown. I think that Lambtown is similar to Rhinebeck in the fact that it is outdoors and there are big like barns and there's more wool, not just yarn. There's a lot of sheep. There's sheep shearing demonstrations. There are sheepdog demonstrations. And so that's why I feel like it's probably more comparable to like what a Rhinebeck would be. Have I ever been to Rhinebeck? No. So what do I know? Very little. It just is much more along those lines than along the lines of something like Flock. What we're going to do today is just talk through my personal experience at the festival, what I bought, what I thought of the festival, and then at the end, I think I might just chat a little bit about what I've been knitting on lately, some plans I have to cast on, so that'll be kind of like a little knitty podcast part of this episode. In case you're wondering, my name is Charlotte, and I go by California Pearls here on my tiny little corner of the internet, and I'm happy that you're here. Let's get into it. First, quickly, I almost always am sipping on some type of bubbly water or something during these episodes. That might change when the weather changes and like I'm ready for something, a warm beverage, but we're still on the bubbly water train. Today I have a Spindrift in mango orange. Yeah, I know, we're getting fancy up in here. I have the real juice. Anyways, that's what we're drinking. Delightful. Lambtown was this past weekend, and it took place in a town called Dixon, California, Dixon, which I learned was, it got its name because somebody misspelled it on like some official document or piece of mail or something. Somebody misspelled it, and then they just rolled with it. And they're like, sure, that's the name of our town now. So that's pretty funny, and I like that as an origin story for a town. Dixon is located about 20 to 30 minutes from Sacramento and probably an hour and a half to an hour and 20 minutes from San Francisco. It is easy to get to, whether you fly into a Bay Area airport or the Sacramento airport, which by the way, I would recommend the Sacramento airport. It's a very manageable airport. It's a very clean airport, and I love flying in and out of there. And I do it pretty often, so would recommend that. Lambtown lasted for, I think there were 2 main days, Saturday and Sunday, that were like the vendors, the sheep hauls, the demonstrations. And I think like last week, maybe on Friday or Thursday, there were classes you could take. And then there were also like classes and workshops that you could take during the day on Saturday and Sunday. I did not sign up for any, but I saw some people who were doing wool washing and then some other people that I'm not sure what they were doing, but they looked like they were having a good time. So if you like to learn new things, maybe meet some new people, I think that that could be a really fun thing to do. I decided to only go to the festival on Sunday. I had an experience with Flock, which I had a great time at Flock, I should say that. but I was kind of overwhelmed with the amount of people shopping in the primary vendor hall at Flock on Saturday. And so I thought maybe for this event, I'll go Sunday instead and it'll be a little bit calmer. I don't know how busy Saturday was, but I can tell you that Sunday was a dream. There were still plenty of people there, but it was so nice, so relaxing. There was so much space, and I never felt like I was crowded or rushed or anything. I was able to just kind of loop around through the vendor halls at my leisure and talk to yarn dyers, squish all the good yarn, and I never felt stressed or kind of that like socially anxious feeling that I get when I'm in a crowd with a lot of people. So that was a plus. The Festival of Lambtown itself takes place at the Dixon May Fairgrounds. So it's like a big fairground facility that can house a big event like this and can accommodate a lot of people, which is really nice. This was the 39th year that Lambtown was running, and the reason why it is called Lambtown and why it exists in Dixon, California, kind of a random place, is because Dixon at one point was the largest producer of lambs in the country. Like, the most lambs were born in Dixon, so it literally was Lambtown. I think that's pretty cool. So there's a big farming history actually in the area of the Central Valley of California and the Sacramento Valley. If you know a little bit about the geography, there's a ton of farming, a ton of crops around here, but there is also place for cattle ranching, dairy farming, which was very popular in the Dixon area, as was raising sheep. I think some of my favorite part of Lambtown this year was the sheepdog demonstrations and the sheep shearing demonstrations. And I unfortunately didn't get any shareable videos or photos of that because I feel very uncomfortable about posting photos of people I don't know online. So I really struggled to actually get a photo that didn't have a ton of other people in it, and it just didn't work, which is fine. Also, any footage that I do put in, it will look really empty, and that's because I purposefully chose moments when there wasn't people around to film, but also it wasn't super busy. Like, there were places that it was pretty open and empty, which was nice. There is a large grassy area called The Grove, and it was a nice place. I saw a lot of people just like bringing blankets and their, camping chairs and picnic supplies. There were a lot of shade trees that people were setting up underneath and kind of spending the day there. And so if I was gonna go again next year, I would do that. I would bring my picnic blanket, my picnic basket, and my chair and camp out for the day. And I was kind of jealous of the people who had done that. So pro tip, do that if you're going and you want to spend a good amount of time there. They did have vendors for food. There was barbecue. I know there was kettle corn. They had Wetzel's pretzels. I got Mexican food, which was pretty good. And then the other thing I got was coffee twice. And there was a great little coffee stand that saved me right when we got there, and then in the afternoon when I was starting to droop again, went back for another cup. Good to know that you don't have to bring in your own food. However, the food wasn't knock your socks off amazing, but it was calories, so we like that. After we looked at the different demonstrations, we went into the sheep barn that had the different types of sheep, different merinos. My favorite ones were these black-faced, I think they're called black-nosed or black something faced sheep that had bells on them, and they were right next to each other. They were so cute. I really loved those. There are also these guys with these big old horns, which were really pretty. And I made friends with some. and let me pet them and give them like really good scratches on their head. It's kind of funny though, when you're scratching a sheep, you like, it's not like scratching a dog where you can like, you know, scratch their skin. You have to like get in there to get to where like underneath all that wool. That was really fun and a definite highlight. We went into this kind of barn type situation where they were doing sheep to shawl. So they were going from fluff off of a sheep all the way to a shawl and like spinning and then weaving the shawls throughout the day. There were like high school clubs there. There were some people that were spinning like this really beautiful purple, and that was fun to look at. And that building was fun because it like kind of looked like an old hotel or like that Western style like saloon type building, which was just a good vibes. And then we went into the first vendor hall and I just looked around in there. I went to Anzula Luxury Fibers, which was exciting because I use their yarn fairly often for my projects. In fact, I never talked about what I'm wearing today. Charlotte. But this is Anzula Luxury Fibers. It is in their base Breeze. It's held double and I think it's in the color Iris. And this is what I wore yesterday. That's why I'm wearing it today, because this is what I wore yesterday when I was there. It was fun to look at all the displays. I loved the people that hung up like skeins of yarn on like unwound and made like these gorgeous rainbow gradients at their stalls. And then I made my first, doesn't say my only purchase, but I only made one yarn purchase, and then the other was just a little something extra. I am trying to not buy too much yarn. If you watched one of my recent videos, you'll know that I went on like a yarn buying spree on a couple of trips I went to, and so we're good on yarn. But I wanted to take home something, and I fell in love with this gorgeous fingering weight yarn from Sea Change Fibers. It's this like greeny bluey color in the color, what, Riptide. I mean, come on, it's like an oceany greeny color. And I think Sea Change Fibers, if I'm not mistaken, they're out of Santa Cruz or somewhere in Northern California. And yeah, my plan is to make some type of vest or slip over with this. This is the year of the slip over, I have decided. I'm thinking I may hold it with one of these two that I got when I was in Oregon. I don't know if I have enough yardage of this one. Also, I don't know if that's the right match. Something about this just seems really nice. And the gold will kind of get picked up because it'll be such a contrast to the blue. I might have to swatch with this and see what happens. So, fuzzy green vest is gonna happen. I want it to be textured, maybe cables, or I don't know why, but I've been like really wanting to do a moss stitch situation, which I guess maybe is annoying and tedious, but I like the like texture of a moss stitch, so I kind of might do that. Who knows? So yeah, that is what I bought there. Just the 3 gorgeous skeins. The other little things that I got while I was shopping are just some stickers. And I went to like the official Lambtown booth. They had a lot of really fun merch. I think my favorite one is the one that, like, you know how Joey from Friends says, "How you doing? How you doing?" I can't do it. So embarrassing. I cannot do it. But it says "how you," as in E-W-E, like a you, a sheep. How you doing? I thought that was pretty funny. But I ended up taking home just a sticker. I ended up getting this gorgeous one. We love it, so shiny. And then they gave me this one for free with my purchase. Just this was like their main logo. And then from a different booth, I got these two. This one says, Knit Lover, Always and Forever. And then this one says, Crazy Knit Lady. So, accurate. If you are at all interested in going next year, this is like this year's little brochure and map. It is going to take place on October 3rd and 4th, with workshops beginning on October 1st. And next year is the 40th. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to show is this little flyer for a knitting summer camp. I went to a knitting camp like a couple weeks ago, and I had the time of my life, and it was just like so heartwarming and wonderful to like gather in community with people who get why you love what you love. But I don't think this one's in my budget for this year, but there were still spots open, and I met the person that runs it and they were delightful. So if you are looking for a knitting camp, this is called Salish Sea and Sky, and it's taking place up in Sequim, Washington. So yeah, that really was my experience at Lambtown. Nothing too crazy or out there, no crazy crowds, no crazy haul, just a calm little day out in the farmlands of California, and I had a great time. I already talked about my potential vest project with the yarn I did bought, but I also wanted to just give a quick little update on the other whips that I am currently working on in my life. As you know, I have 300 million whips on my needles all the time, but these are the few that I am focusing on at the moment for various reasons. The first two are in here, and they are both things that I'm working on for my two nieces. I have one niece that is 3 and one that is 13, and so the things in here are very different from each other, but they are both almost done, and they need to be done. They need to be done. So maybe somebody has some advice for me on this first one, but this is the Ripple Bralette by Jessie Maed. And first of all, I'm really concerned about this triangle top covering anything. But you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But the thing is she has a length that says how long to knit these straps, but I'm worried they'll be too long. They won't fit my niece. So I just can't decide how long to make them. How do I decide? Do I have my niece like measure one of her tank top straps? Do I just hope for the best? Do I just go off of what Jessie Maed said in the pattern? Probably that. Listen to the pattern. I really want to get this finished. I honestly think I might just have it finished by Christmas, so I don't actually have to worry about getting it finished in a timely manner, but also at the same time, it's been on my needles for forever. That's the first one for my niece. And then for my little niece, you've probably seen this before, but this is a hoodie. This is the R&R hoodie by Tanis Lavallee. Don't know how to say that name actually, but that's how I always say it. I say Lavallee and then I go, could be wrong. And it's the R&R hoodie. And I had been stalled on this because I couldn't find the zipper. And so I was like, I'm gonna stop weaving in the ends. I'm not gonna finish the finishing work. But then I've recently been doing a yarn whips knitting stuff clear out organization, and I found the zipper. So we're gonna do a purple, you can't really see it probably because of the glare, but we're gonna do a purple zipper on this, and then it'll be done. I'm seeing her in, 4 days. So I have 4 days to get this finished. Zipper sewn in, washed, blocked, dried, ready for me to board a flight and take this to her. wish me luck. And then the other two projects that I'm kind of cogitating on are in here. And this first one is knit in this, it's some like alpaca, blown alpaca yarn. I can't remember what it is. Lana Grossa, I think. And then this, which is Hedgehog Fibers Boucle in the color Caterpillar. And I'm holding them together and they're making this. This is the third thing that I've started with this yarn combination, and I think I've found the pattern for it. I had started a cardigan, I had started a slipover. I liked the cardigan, but I did not have enough of this yarn for it. I did not love the slipover. I just didn't think it was something I would wear. The goal is for this to be the Jose hood by some designer that I can't remember the name of, but I will put it in the description. And it is just like a big garter stitch hood with like a scarf that you can also wrap around and then tie in a cute little bow. And I got this idea from Mackenzie from M to the Third. She was one of the hosts of the knit camp that I went to, and she was talking about this project, and I was thinking, I need a hood in my life. And once I cast this on and was like, oh, this really just needed to be garter. Like, it just didn't want to be anything else, this yarn combo. So it's really working for me. It looks like a rainbow cloud now. I was really struggling with this yarn at first, what to do with it, how to kind of do it justice with also having it be a wearable item, because I love this yarn, but it's out of control. New cast on. We love a new cast on. And then I have another one that is not cast on. The other skein is already caked up, but this is the North Bay Fiber, and this is their Elemental Fingering Cormo wool in the color Jitterbug. And this I do want to make a fingering weight vest out of. And I found the vest pattern, which I also can't remember the name of. I feel like it starts with an L. I can't remember. But here is what the swatch looks like. So it's just this like cabled pattern all over cables. And it has really nice shoulder details on this pattern. And I think this will be kind of one of those longer term knits because fingering weight plus cables. But I just love the idea of having like a kind of a lightweight but wool fingering weight bright yellow vest. And then the cables will just make it fun. And I think that this yarn is great for picking up a cable. It really pops. Those are some things I have been working on lately. That's all the yarny stuff, but I just wanted to mention a few fall favorites before I go. And these are both from Trader Joe's because I'm a hoe for the Joe. And the first one is, no, that's the wrong one. Not the right candle, this one. Oh my god, this candle is the Honey Crisp Apple candle from Trader Joe's, and it just smells like a freshly cut apple, and it smells like fall. They also have like a vanilla pumpkin one, but this one just really speaks to my heart. I love apple picking. I'm an apple picking girly. Speaking of which, if you happen to be in the Sacramento area, like let's say next year you're going to Lambtown and going to Dixon and you want something to do in the area, it is a bit of a drive, but if you drive up Highway 50 past Placerville, you will hit an area called Apple Hill. I think that's unofficially what it's called, Apple Hill, and it's just apple orchards upon apple orchards, and it's a great place to go in the fall. Look at the fall foliage, get some apple cider donuts, etc. I love to go and like have a picnic in one of the orchards, and my favorite orchard is Rainbow Orchard because rainbows. Yeah. But there's a bunch of good ones up there. Anyways, this reminds me of that smell. That's why I needed that tangent. Oh, so good. And then also on the fall train is this, what is it, pumpkin? Yeah, just pumpkin hand cream. I use the Trader Joe's Rose hand cream, which I think is like the same formulation, just a different scent. And it's a really good dupe for like a fancy hand cream. And it smells like pumpkins. Well, that's gonna be it for this one. Hopefully you had a good time. Feel free to stick around and subscribe if this type of video seems like something you might like. And I will see you in the next one. I don't know exactly when it's coming out, but we have massive yarn organization happening, and so there will be a video all about that. Hope you're having a good one. Bye.